Guys, equipment. You don't need a great deal to get started. Kettlebells, clearly, any of this type will do. You got cast bells or fitness bells, or you got competition style kettlebells. Generally speaking, starting weights, I would suggest 8 and a 12 for a lady, and 12 to a 16 for guys. Now, your limiting factor will be how much you can press above your head. If ladies struggle with an 8, then go down to a 6, but you'll need something a bit heavier for your swings. So I would suggest at least an 8 for your swings, preferably a 12. Okay, you need a decent amount of weight to get some feedback, so you know that you're doing the movement correctly. So for ladies, 8 and a 12, or maybe a 6 for the press, and certainly at least an 8 for swings, but preferably a 12. For guys, I would suggest a 12 and a 16, so 12 would be for your press, 16 kg for your swings. You might well be able to use a lot more than that, especially if you've had a weight training background. You'll be able to use a lot more weight. But for the average person, I would suggest 12 and 16 for guys. If you struggle to press a 12, you may have to go down to a 10, that's not a problem. But it needs to be a comfortable press. Something you can press for at least 10 repetitions with without overly straining. Okay, because most of the circuits we're doing are just that, they're circuits, they're nothing in isolation, so it will be pressing as part of a circuit. So you'll have some fatigue already as you get to the press. Right, let's talk about shoes. There are 3 options for you to choose from. One of those is not running shoes. Okay, so please don't wear running shoes, they're too spongy. What you need with kettlebells is a good connection between your foot and the ground. Okay, and you will not get that with a running shoe. Right, so 3 options are: you have a minimalist type shoe, such as this Vibram 5-finger. Okay, these are a little bit odd, but I love wearing these, especially for things like snatching with a kettlebell. They're very, very comfortable. So they're minimalist, so you have very little in the way of sole. Okay, so you get a very good foot to ground connection. Being a minimalist shoe, there is no taper from heel to toe, or very little. It's quite a flat sole. I like them for snatching. I'm not so keen on these for jerks, where I appreciate an elevated heel, because that helps me with my positioning of the kettlebells in the rack and in the overhead positioning. But they're a good choice. Okay, nice, comfortable. They're great for other things as well. They're good for squatting in, good for lunges, good for box jumps, all that type of thing. Okay, generally speaking, these are a good choice. It doesn't have to be this type of thing. Anything with a flat sole, such as a Converse, will be perfectly fine. Then you have your gym shoe. This is a Reebok CrossFit shoe. Very nice shoe. You've got a bit more of a heel to toe taper, which can help people with squats. They're very solid, there's no give, unlike a running shoe. They're very comfortable, good for squats, good for lunges, good for general kettlebell training, a good choice. Lastly, you have your dedicated weightlifting shoe. Now these are designed for squatting, deadlifting, any kind of powerlifting type sport, but they've also been adopted by kettlebell athletes, and these are what you will see being worn at most kettlebell competitions, especially for jerks. Okay, now these have quite a high, big taper from heel to toe. They flex at the toe only, everything else is very, very solid. Quite often you can find them made out of wood. Okay, so they're extremely solid, great connection to the ground, just not the most comfortable shoe to wear for anything really other than standing in one spot. So they're not ideal for lunges. Anything that requires too much movement through the foot, they're probably not ideal for. But as a general kettlebell lifting shoe, they are a fantastic choice. And if you're going to compete, these will generally help most people get better numbers in their chosen lift. So there are your 3 options. They're all good. Just please make sure you avoid the running shoes. And also, barefoot, always think it's best to have something on your foot. Not that any of these shoes give you much protection if you drop something on the foot, but try and wear some kind of footwear. When it comes to clothing, pretty straightforward, just a comfortable pair of shorts. A cotton t-shirt would be my preference, as opposed to those technical type t-shirts you can get. I find that with the technical shirts, I find my elbows are a little bit slippy when I want to make a good connection to my hips, so they can slide off. So just a good old-fashioned cotton t-shirt does the job nicely. I say just comfortable shorts. One other recommendation would be for some kind of wrist guard. So these are kettle guard. These are my favourite type of guard. They have different bits of plastic in them all the way around. There's like segmented pieces of plastic, okay, and they slip on the wrist, and they just help with basically the pressure of the kettlebell sitting against your wrist for a sustained period. And also when you're learning, when the kettlebell may flip over and bang on the wrist, these will give you some protection from getting too bruised. Okay, there's other sorts on the market. You can get some with a solid plastic insert, which are far more common, but also less effective. I do find with those they can sometimes swing around as you're lifting, so the protection ends up being in the wrong place. With these, with the protection all the way around, doesn't matter where they sit on the wrist, you're going to get the same level of protection with the bell against your wrist here. So I would recommend kettle guard. Some people don't need any form of wrist protection, but I would recommend initially you have some kind of protection on your wrist while you're learning. And one final recommendation, and that is an interval app. I would recommend strongly Seconds Pro. It works extremely well, it's highly customizable. I use it for myself, for all my clients. It's never let me down. It's available both on the App Store, the iOS App Store, and also on Android. Okay, so I would recommend strongly Seconds Pro.